But also, if you do theater, especially musical, it's also severely physically demanding.
Sometimes there's no time to take, like, no time to use that stress or that anxiety and then go out there and hopefully crush it.
As a form of like therapy and stuff. Yeah, it's guys, acting is a form of sweet madness. Such is life. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Sweet Madness podcast. I'm here in a home. That's why I'm talking very softly. It's very nice and peaceful over here. And I have with me today 2 awesome ladies sitting next to me on a big red couch, bringing me back to my big comfy couch days.
Yeah.
And today I have 2 board members of Citygate Productions with me. If you guys would like to introduce yourselves.
I'm Virginia Harmon. I'm a board member, co-founder of Citygate Productions.
Hi, I'm Regina Fischedick. I'm another board member of Citygate Productions.
So, guys, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for being on my show.
Thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool. So, you guys are on the board for Citygate Productions. We've now said it like 3 or 4 times in the beginning in this intro of the podcast.
Get it out there. Get it out there.
You guys, I've met you guys doing various shows throughout Queens, and so what I want to know is what sparked the creation of Citygate Productions?
So during the pandemic, me and my husband, we had a baby and we kind of expected it to blow over. We met doing theater, me and my husband back in Philadelphia, and we pursued it together and we moved to New York, kept pursuing it together through our marriage, and we planned to do it through having children. Things just kind of there was a halt put on things. So as expected, we thought everything would blow over. Did not. So we saw that people were doing more virtual productions via Zoom or just, readings, any way to keep the art going. And my husband thought, well, I'll pay rights to do a show that is more, even geared towards Zoom readings, a production of The Christians. It was beautiful. We had amazing actors. And my husband, came up with the monitor, Citygate Productions, a place for people to use their voices and come to a large setting. And as things cleared up a little bit more, some groups weren't opening up, which, saddened us a bit. But we thought if you can keep it smaller, we can, again, have people, be vaccinated, show proof of that. We can still keep theater alive. And that was the goal. And then we kind of did something smaller. Some places were not lending themselves to a large audience, but we had a bar that was very much like, sure. A bar.
Thank you, Yermans.
Hey, Yermans Pub. And then, doing a play about a pub. And we thought, well, we could maybe just keep this smaller and tighter and more like intimate and use shows that people wouldn't normally do as often in a community theater setting, or even a regional setting, and bring it to the sort of masses of Queens, especially.
For me, I got involved with Citygate Productions because I met the Harmons at a Royal Star Theater production, kind of after party. It was after Young Frankenstein, and Alex Jameson invited the Harmons because they're friends all the way back from Philadelphia. And I'm very social, so I'm like, I like to talk to people outside of the people I know. So I'm like, hey, new people, and surprise. They were people in theater in Philly, but they weren't teachers, which is what most of our community members are. But they were in sales and in corporate. I said, I don't need a lot of people like me. but it was a fun conversation. I'm like, oh, Jenny and Tom, nice to meet you. But a few years later, the production that Jenny was talking about, The Weir at Yermans, I had to see it. I'm like, I've literally never seen a theater production anywhere outside of a stage or an actual performance space here in Queens. And I used to do a lot of stuff like that in the Philippines, like guerrilla marketing theater, social political activism, and perform in the middle of the streets, like stuff like that. And it was so exciting to me and I couldn't miss it. And I mean, for me too, if I can order a drink while watching a play, I mean, it's a win-win, right? I was really just touched by that production because it it was so innovative, especially post-pandemic. People were just trying to get art out there. A few years later, was it a year later? Tom was like opening up his board because he wanted to do more like actual theater productions, and he tapped me to be a board member. And because I was going to be part of them creating the vision for the whole group, I was all in 100%.
I love that. Yeah, I saw The Weir as well. Yeah. Jim Haynes, who was on the podcast for the first episode of season 2, he was in that production of The Weir.
It was brilliant.
He was brilliant. Yes. And his original show, Shakespeare Crackpot Theories, Volume 1, premiered, as you guys know, from episode 1. And it's through them. It's through this lovely Citygate Productions. Keeping the arts alive and keeping the arts going. That's something that you guys mentioned. So really, Citygate was born during the pandemic.
Sure.
And it changed a lot of ways a lot of people thought about everything in general, not just, the way theater is done, but we are focused on theater today. Why do you think the arts are so important?
It's community. And I think, especially in the pandemic, there was, at least, again, my church taught me this too, which is keeping communication with people. Technology is a way to do that. But if you can just, we're restraining to meet each other in person in any way you could. If you were at a block party, socially distant outside somehow, trying to keep connected. Even theater was the way to do that. People had readings. Again, people were doing virtual shows, performances. It wasn't desperate. You're professionals doing it too. I mean, I think it was just they gave you the drive to keep it up. Don't let it fall. Don't push it aside and use it in our community. I think Citygate, especially now, it was started as a small, even local thing. Like, hey, what my neighbor being like, you can use this space. This person loves it. And, you had people who never see shows coming out now because people weren't doing shows or, they're, the certain areas weren't used to having.
People were scared to
do shows. Yeah. I mean, getting connected with more of the community, reaching out to other businesses, be like, do you feel comfortable? Are you, and people need the business. If you can raise the funds to get to support another building, another space, and, give out your art. That's important. That's special. And that's connecting, it's reaching out to someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. The pandemic affected a lot of people in different ways. And the one thing that is a common thread is that everybody wanted to feel connected to each other.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm a big arts farts person.
No.
It's how I communicate. It's how I tell stories. And for me, the origin came from dance. Do you guys have a special origin it came from? Did you always love it? It came from, for me, it was also my grandma just blasting The King and I soundtrack when I was a kid. So it was I sort of grasped it by osmosis. I was like, oh, getting to know you. No. Okay. That's jammy. So do you guys have, what's your personal connection to theater?
Like for me, the first time I was on stage, there was like a Jubilee celebration for my school. And it's like, it's something to do. I'm big on extracurriculars. So I did that. I wouldn't really call it a passion since then, but I think that helps to start it at such a young age because you just get used to the discipline behind the art. Because it's not all what you see. That's only 10% of it,
Completely.
But I think I got really hooked into it because in my sophomore year of high school, there were auditions for my high school's dramatics guild. One of the audition portions was, so everyone's going to their different clubs. So dramatics guild is just an extracurricular club. Everyone has quiet meetups in their rooms. This is a music club. This is the reading, whatever. But one of the audition pieces for the dramatics guild was, they will tell you some crazy character to play and you have to do it in front of the whole classroom. I saw a lot of that's part of your audition. You're not in yet. And you see a lot of terror in a lot of people. I just heard an all girls Catholic Chinese high school. A lot of them are like, what? But for me, I'm like, okay, let's go. And then when the challenge was done, it's like, oh, there's no more. Okay, cool. I think after that, that's when I got to join like being in actual productions where people talk to you about directing and you listen to the soundtracks of the different musicals and you understand more of the craft behind it. I think from then on I was hooked. Like, wow, you just like rehearse and then you do a show and people clap for you. Like I'm like, and then people tell you like constructive criticism for how you can improve, and it's also a craft that you get better at. I think once you feel that first burst of, wow, this is exhilarating. And that's a high school production. And there's so much more different audiences, different topics, different type of material you can touch. That's my origin story. That was this is jammy. And I'm like, I'm all about it. So, and I don't think I've ever stopped ever since. So that's my origin story.
No, I think we were like outgoing. Me and my twin sister were outgoing hyper kids who watched a lot of TV. So we latched onto things, and a great way to just be creative was not writing stories, performing skits for, your friends and family. And they're like, let's do some like acting classes, some workshops. And then you have schools that are doing plays and you're like, well, you're also almost like 5'5" and like 11 years old. You're taller than everybody. So you have to be all the character actors. So you just can't be like the best, singer or dancer. You're gonna be
relate.
Oh, stop.
You're gonna be the grandma. You're gonna be taller than everyone else. You're the grandma. And then, so you're the character roles. But it's just the way to, and again, through church, you have like, performing your, that's just like more opportunities and more ways to just, to do it, to have the freedom to be a leader, to be in a show. And it's like in meeting your friends in high school. It's just, you become a leader in a way, a creative leader that even in writing, I love to write, but it's such a, it opens people up. You get to help open other people up, people who are shy, or especially in school. That's brilliant. And that's just, it can be gentler sometimes, I think, than some sports or, to people who are just shyer.
It's a lot of misconception. There's a lot of misconception about acting in general in theater and what it takes to put on a show. It's very layered. It's very full of contradictions. You have to have an open mind, but it's challenging your mind. It's challenging your ego because you're like, being an actor, you already have part of your ego at the forefront. You're like, oh my God, look at me. And then it's like when someone tells you that you're like gives you a note to change something, like you have to make sure that you don't get into that, oh, but I'm good. Like, how dare you give me that note? No, it's all constructive criticism. You have to keep an open mind.
On top of that, on the topic of ego, you're like, hey, look at me. And then there's 5 of you at audition.
Yeah. It's like, professors literally told, like, humble yourselves now.
Yes.
Because you're not as good. Where you were, you might have been the best. You're not going to be the best now.
Big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, 100%. But like, I was like, literally to be told, just humble yourselves. Like, and it was fair. And it was all like, and you kind of earn your way, or, learn a little bit first. And then you can, do your best. Do what you want to do.
It's so contradictory also, because then like being a performer, you're also most likely, the stereotype is that you are severely insecure on the inside about certain things about yourself. So you have to push that insecurity aside to have the confidence to say, hey, look at me. And then all of a sudden, if you do not get the role you want, you're devastated and you're rejected.
Got to take those hits.
You got to take the hits. And not only is it mentally challenging, because you have to you have to become another person. You have to create another person with the director, with collaboration with the director, with the choreographer. And you have to like walk and talk and find the mannerisms and see how this person will be as a walking human on a stage or on screen if you're doing film. And because of the mental strain and the strain, your body is always sort of feeling the hit of that.
Yeah.
But also, if you do theater, especially musical, it's also severely physically demanding.
Sometimes there's no time to take use that stress or that anxiety and then go out there and hopefully crush it.
As a form of like therapy and stuff. Yeah, it's as guys, acting is a form of sweet madness. Such is life. Such is life. So I am so happy that you guys are here because I just really want to touch real quick on the production that I directed for Citygate. And it was a passion project of mine. And I just want to thank you guys for just letting me do it and like being involved and getting cast. They're phenomenal. It was truly like an experience that I will never forget. And I can't believe it was like a year ago already, like over a year ago. It saddens me. It's like, can I just do it again? Can I just do it again? And I want to get how it was working for you guys, specifically becoming those characters and tapping into Trisha and Georgianne. So I want to hear your thoughts on how your process was with tapping into those characters, because we did go on a little tangent about becoming a different character and stuff like that.
It's very clear to me, so I can go first. I've worked with Montoni before in mostly musical capacities. I've done straight theater before, but mostly in the Philippines. So I think a lot of what year was that? 2023. So I've been doing community theater since 2009. Like majority of my Queens experience is musicals. I've done a handful of reviews. I've done a handful of I think I did one whole showcase, but I wouldn't say my experience in straight theater in Queens is quite extensive. So that's just my baseline. I'm so used to being a character actress and with the music, everyone always commends me on my energy, right? And I love it because it's a big part of my brand. It's a big part of my personality, and I am big on energy.
I feel you on that one.
Right. I think I really took it to heart. Somebody told me in a production, maybe in college, always go all out in musical theater because it's easier to rein it back in versus up, higher. So I think maybe I took that as my MO for my acting. I think that for me, jumping into this role, because Georgianne is funny. Georgianne has a lot of life experience. She has a lot to say, but at the same time, it will make the character more effective if she's real, not a caricature of what a lonely housewife or an insecure woman should be. And to be honest, that was a process for me to get to, and I knew what you were getting at when we were going through the process, because I've seen some shows, sometimes with professional actresses, when it's it's getting too campy or it's giving... Look at me, laugh.
It's one tone.
It's one tone, and it feels put on, and it feels very inauthentic. And I think with all the layers of that show, with all the comedy and then drama, and then it's gonna hit you deep in the heart, it wouldn't have worked if it was the funny one, right? If Georgianne was one tone in how I played her. You're oh, you're funny, but it's not oh my God, you were funny, and I felt it. So that was the process that I remember that I had to really pull back on, because I remember it very, very well. There was one time wherein we had some logistical issue with the venue, and you're let's just have dinner and let's just have chat and have a chat with the cast. I think one of the important things that I remember that you and Jim told us to hone in on was, guys, you already have it, but because you're so comfortable with where you are and with each other, because that cast dynamic was quite magical. It was
a rarity, as Jim said. It was a rarity for Queen's Theater. It's
crazy. It was such a magical shout out to all of our girls. But I remember, and that really affected me when you guys said, you have it, you just have to feel it, and it has to be real. You don't have to go all extra. So that was a really memorable process for me, because again, because I'm energy and I'm big and loud and I'm brassy and usually it works, but and again, it still works. It's another way to play it, but it's not. I felt like with my process with that production specifically, because I had to dig in deep in the and I'm not a method actor at all. Like I that's not me at all. But for me, I'm like, you have to tap into some parts of you. It's so cheesy, but like you have to tap into some parts of your soul or what's authentic to you that you can apply. And again, it's not like I can relate because Regina does this in her life and George. No, it's not like that at all. But it's like, wow, when she feels this, she really feels it. And it's like, it was once we got it with all the chemistry of the cast, it just felt like so fun to slip into her shoes and slip into her dress and again I'm humbling myself. It took a while because again I'm so used to my musical theater training in the past over 10 years, but that role was too special for me to not give it the justice and gravitas that it deserved. And that, speaking of ego too, if I didn't get that role, because I had no idea what the show was about. But then I'm a lazy actress. I don't really read scripts until I get in the show. I don't really enjoy reading scripts. But when it's an all-woman show, I'm like, okay, I'm in. But then when I got called back for Georgianne and when I saw some YouTube clips for the show and I was watching it and I'm like, I have to get it. I have to get this show. Like, I have to get this role. I have to get this role. I would have been devastated if I didn't get that role. So
you did like I said, just a fantastic job with it. And I know it was a process for you. And so you had to like let everything you knew go.
And I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
So.
In order to let it flow. It's something I say a lot on the podcast here. Let it go, let it flow. Yeah. So you had to kind of strip yourself of everything that you've learned and then kind of grasp new things to learn in a short amount of time. That's very challenging.
And still be funny.
Yeah. And still be funny.
You know, because
you did a great job.
Funny, you know.
It was amazing.
But yeah, that's my experience and that's my takeaway. And it's another process too because we're friends, you know, like, but it's a different capacity when you're working with your friends, directing you, and it's your passion project and
your vision,
but it's me on stage. It was like
So Ginny, how was the process for Five Women? For you specifically?
I loved it. I loved the audition process. We're both as board members going into it, just like we're auditioning. We're just like, you know, it's fine.
Oh, we manifested being in that show.
Sure did.
I love it.
Because me and Ginny were hanging out at one of our hangouts like the year before, and we're like, we're manifesting it. We're gonna be in a great show next year. So this is 2022. We're gonna be in a great show. We're gonna be awesome. It's just happening.
Yeah. Getting out there again.
The auditions and the callbacks.
And then Tom read the show when we did Kiss Me Kate, and I was like, yes, he likes it.
I like that show. We were supposed to do it in college, and that fell through because of budgeting. But it was like all the women in that show like loved it, and there were all the parts that I read. I was like connected to. It was like 21 at the time, so I thought, well, it's college theater. I could kind of play like any of these parts. I would hope, but I loved all of them essentially, and then going back into it, it was like, now you're older, you're in your 30s, you have your life experience, under your belt. But it was just post-pandemic, especially for me, this was like it was a real theater piece that wasn't a musical, and that was going to be character work heavy, and I would hope, and that, it was a troupe that no one else, that was young at the time, our theater group Citygate, and you want to make it good. You want to put you want to be an example to all your other castmates, especially since you auditioned as well. And, you hope that everyone else enjoyed your performance, your audition. But that, I think it was tough in kind of getting to know our newer, younger ladies of our show. It's not I don't think it's a total generational thing, but again, I'd had two babies at the time, post-COVID, hadn't done a show in almost like it was a bit of a gap to do theater. And then you had these, beautiful actresses coming in post-college, just moved to New York, who were auditioning, and you're giving them an opportunity for like an awesome show. And you're like, we want to do right by you guys who like, you've had a screwy past couple of 2 years. You're like, 22, 24, 22, so young. And it's just like, I can't imagine kind of past you've had. Mm-hmm. So you want to like make it good for them. Be like, guys, this is like, you get to go for this. Like we all get to, we're keeping that in mind. I'm like, you guys are like,
the pressure's on.
But they were crushing it. And I love
so many good ones.
So I know, amazing. And again, the more that you keep in touch with these like actresses who auditioned and you're like, you were brilliant. And we get you back for another show, and that's even more fabulous, and hopefully that keeps happening. But the women we had in our show, who were just, who were really brilliant, and it's just connecting with them because they were so new. But then you have these, your character's history with them, and sometimes they're brand new people to you, or people like I'm friends with Regina for like years. Yeah. Our characters are like estranged, but you got to find moments of like, remember back then, remember when, and like nostalgia to the end of the show where you guys are back, almost totally reconnected, and like, you found your friendship. And then some of the actresses who are, you have to play icy to, or like colder, and they're newer, they're newer actresses. Like I'm just friends with you, and like I don't want you to think I'm like a bitch at all. Yeah. But in finding your character, my character was sort of a not ice queen, but like reserved. Like she was emotionally withdrawn. She was jaded. a bit jaded, promiscuous, very promiscuous, bubbly, like vivacious to men, and appealing, as a mature woman, but. I think some of the lines and some of the way you could play her is Mean Girl, like almost. I think as a character, I try to find ways where you make her, likable to the audience, or just like, even if there's positive choices I think you can make as a villain. You can do those as well, which will get an audience on your side 100% of the time because you don't think you're wrong, or you have justifiable actions, and you have hurt and you have pain, and a little bit of, I don't know, like I the hopeful charm that you have, and you had that in spades with your character. Just like, if you're in a bad place and you're as a character, but like, how do we're not like laughing. No, none of your jokes are hopefully like, at you. It's at, that we like you and that you are charming and winning, and we're rooting for you the whole time. I think all of those characters have those moments where it's like, you guys are messy ladies a bajillion% of the time, or just, we don't have your beliefs. But how do you, how are you sparkling, and how are you kind of, how do you connect with each other that's not like antagonistic 100% of the time? Because no, that's not. Your relationships might be where you start the show is not the way you end. And if you like everybody, it helps that you like each other off stage, but definitely, during the show, even if you don't come to 100% of a meeting place, you got something there. You have some
sort of understanding.
Yeah, you understand each other, or you do like that person. I think as a human being, I can't, I say when I date a person, I don't ever really think I hate them at the end of the day, because I think there is something you fall in love about a person, or there is something that you like about them. So I think that can be applied to shows as well, and
definitely
as an actor.
Definitely. And you touched on something that really spoke to what I was trying to go for with the show. I mean, it's written in the script, but the end of the show, the conclusion of the show, with all of their differences, they accept each other for who they are, but they're still not hesitant to call them out when their feelings are hurt in a healthy way. They find a healthy medium. They're also still, they still establish boundaries in a healthy way, and none of them take offense to the boundary that is being set. I see that play, and I've thought about it a lot after it ran, because I was having a conversation with someone and they didn't understand a lot of it because it is an all-female show. There's a lot of elements that are brought into it toward the end that really just embody how the world could be if we just have conversations with each other. We can have a world where we respect each other's boundaries without feeling insulted or, rejected. We can have a world where we accept each other for our differences. We can have a world where we're not arrogant and antagonistic toward each other. And that's what I was going for. And every single night, you guys just bowed to I'm every woman. It was amazing. It was amazing.
It was as amazing for us.
Yeah. And shout out not only to the girls, but to the one male actor in the entire
Jordan.
Hello, Jordan. I hope you're doing well. He really brought a positive note to it. And I'm very thankful that we had the whole cast that we had. It was really, truly amazing. Really, truly, truly amazing. Mm-hmm. So
should we do it again?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna do it.
Let's do a tour. Tom.
I think all the girls are in.
I know.
They're in. They're in. I would love that. Now we talked about the sweet madness of theater. I'd just like to point out that we're all wearing black.
Not planned.
Not planned. And we're sitting on a red couch. So the title of this episode is going to be titled 3 Women Wearing Black. and then something else that relates to what we talked about.
But it wasn't planned.
It wasn't planned. It wasn't planned. They're not bridesmaids dresses, but we all are wearing black. I love it. I love it. So Jim's show, the Crackpot Shakespeare Theories, just ended. Mm-hmm. So do you have any insight you can give us about anything brewing? Like a time?
Well, I would say coming up in the year, I would say yes, the something spooky. A production of Frankenstein, but it's not your mama's Frankenstein. It's not your daddy's Frankenstein. It's going to be introspective. It's brilliant. It's fleshed out, to use a spooky word. And I'm excited. I again, as a lover of Gothic literature and
spooky things
in general, and original works, because this is also something that's doesn't get. This is an author who this isn't a well-published version of the show, and a new director that we have. I'm excited. Cool. And a crew, and a makeup designer, a costume designer.
That's awesome.
Of women who are fabulous. And I'm very excited. I think this is going to be fun. And
I love that you guys do stuff against the grain of what we're used to seeing in community theater around Queens. We see it in indie theater in the city, but we don't see it enough in Queens. So you guys are killing it. You are killing it. If anybody...
You work really hard.
This one, she works really hard.
You deserve all of the success. If anybody out there is interested in working with Citygate, keep an eye out for auditions. Keep an eye out for submissions. I think they just ended in May.
We have part of our reading committee. You can
reading committee for our 2025
season. So, but again, the opportunity to just scope out new works and subscribe to our emails.
Yes,
we promote other groups in the area because that's the important part of theater, is promoting other shows and getting in touch. So it's just, I think it's all encompassing.
Yeah. And I love that you guys also have different venues that you do each production in. You guys really are just embodying the world's borough slogan of Queens, and it's awesome. I love it so much.
Trying to keep it as diverse as we can. So again, all voices are welcomed. That's the goal, is to be as different as we possibly can be.
And you being a board member of your own theater group, you know it comes with its own challenges, but the rewards of it, like, you don't feel tied down to specific rules, or you're not beholden to certain themes that need to appeal to a certain
be censored at all
demographic censorship. So I think it's a worthwhile endeavor, and there's so many, and us going into this research of like, what are the venues we could utilize, because like 5 women, that was so unique and crazy. We had it at a Moose Lodge at their events hall, and it's amazing. And
we created a bedroom
and it
events hall,
and it came with its own character. The bar is there. I mean, again, it comes with its own challenges, but the rewards and the discoveries that you get from it, it's so worthwhile, and it's it's quite exciting. There's a lot of cool venues. A lot of people want to showcase art and beautiful things. If you want to get back into dance specific stuff, there's so many.
So many.
And just in our community. And I don't know. I agree. Like we love that. That's different. Even though it's like, where is this one? Like, could be at this venue. Or
it can be very anxiety inducing.
Sure can, yeah.
But you do it. You do it each time, and it's great. Thank you. What's your mission?
So the vision is to showcase the beautiful diversity of our borough and stories that speak from the heart and inspire the mind. So we really want to tap into the diversity of the borough. That's another angle that I personally like, especially as an immigrant artist. Living in Queens, the world's melting pot. Like, I'm really big on the diversity mission of Citygate. Not just in like casting, because I think a lot of people think about that in diversity. I think it's also in support. And like in the past few years alone, like for me as a person and as an artist, I'm big on supporting all of my friends in theater, but even in a larger capacity when I became a board member. So we got affiliated with so many groups like Jamaica's Center for Arts and Learning, JCAL, and you get exposed to different types of original works, and you get different angles and perspectives outside of our own ecosystem. Because I think us being friends in the community theater group, just because we've done shows together, we tend to run in our own circles, but it's so much bigger. The artistry and collaboration and creativity in Queens is like explosive. There's so many. We just need more funding at the end of the day. Like we wish there's so many things that we could do and showcase. It's such an exciting, especially post COVID too. It's such an exciting ecosystem to be in, and it's actually very supportive and collaborative. Once these groups have come together, there's so much magic that you can do.
Plus, there's so much you're learning also as you're doing that. There's so much to learn just in Queens alone. Yeah. And I'm always an advocate for keeping an open mind and learning as much as you can. But the more you learn, the more questions you have. So the more you have to learn. But if you stop yourself from learning, you're never going to grow. Yeah. In all aspects, not just your mind, your heart, as a person, in all aspects, no matter it pertains to anything. Man, I really love this conversation. I feel all like emotional right now and just feel worldly.
Can I ask you a question? Because back to the origin story. No, because like you said you started in theater from dance. Because you know how I have dance friends that's just the main medium that they stuck with. How did you expand into acting and dancing outside of acting and singing outside of dance?
My mom put me in my first dance class at 2 years old, and I just never stopped.
Seen the pictures.
I just never stopped. But having my grandmother at home, who's a big fan of musicals, The King and I, Gigi, Sound of Music. Those are all ones that were constantly playing on my TV via VHS cassette. I used to live, like my immediate family used to live with my grandparents. We used to live in the same small house. It was enough space. It was good. From there in 7th grade, like when I danced at home, if like I was watching a TV, I would always act out what was on the screen, much like kids do when they're watching a Disney Channel movie or like a kid's show. If there's music and dance involved, they act it out. They want to act. They want to put on these things for their parents. And that spark of creativity never left with me. I love to play. And then in 7th grade, there were auditions for the junior high play. And I forget specifically who encouraged me to audition, or if it was just something that I was like, I'm going to go for it. I can't remember specifically, but I did the junior high play and I was like, oh, I might actually like this. I mean, it was like, one act shows that were like obscure. That like those are the best. That were written specifically for like middle schoolers. Yeah. And then my high school was grade 7 through 12. So in 7th grade, I also auditioned for the musical because I was in chorus too in elementary school and in 7th grade. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do the musical. It was The Wiz. I played a Munchkin.
I was a Yellow Brick Road.
I I didn't even get on stage. Like my director had some of us go through the house and dance in the aisles and sing cute. Yeah, and then like I think I just went backstage through the door that was at the bottom of the auditorium. So, but I just kept going back, and I just kept going back, and I just kept going back. I did it through high school, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I think we're all addicts.
Yeah. I do enjoy that I'm taking a step back from wearing certain hats in theater and finding my love for it again, like performing and just loving it in general. Like I saw Titanic encores a week ago, and it was just that was me and my friends like senior show. It was just, I was speechless, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the magic that that theater makes me feel. And I was like, this is the feeling that I had when I was little, you know, watching The King and I and Anna sing Getting to Know You to the children. That was it for me. I'm like, oh,
thank you. That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
I love this. So, back to Citygate. If you would like to get involved with Citygate production in any way, shape, or form, you can check out citygateproductions.org. You can follow them on Instagram at Citygate Productions. Good, I got that right.
Yes, that's all right.
We have a very active
title. I think we have everything.
Okay,
we have a very active mailing list.
Yes,
too.
they have a very active mailing list. And if you are involved in any sort of indie theater or community theater, especially if you're in Queens, reach out to them. They do feature other groups in their emails so that it becomes an all-encompassing theater blast to your email inbox. I love getting them every month. It's great.
We're like the I think we're like the best summary of what's going on.
Yes.
Almost a newsletter, a great newsletter.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And as you know, the Sweet Madness podcast has merch. We have merch. The newest, yes, we do. The newest object is a fun little tote bag for you guys. And you can go to www.amandamontoni.com to check that out. And follow me on Instagram. Subscribe to my newsletter. My Instagram is at amanda.montoni. And
I love your emails too. I love your emails
thanks.
too. It's eye-catching. I'm like, I need this for the week. Let me look at this. Because I do.
That's so good to hear, because I'm like, who reads them?
Corporate emails and all of the sweet Lord, you know.
I do look at my analytics. I'm like, I have like a 80% open rate. Yay.
That's really good.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. But I'm sad I didn't get to practice my vocal fry.
Yeah.
Just thank you for everything you do, girl. We love being part of it.
Oh my God, stop.
I hope to do it again sometime. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.